Previously on Cold-Blooded Serial, we uncovered Todd Kohlhepp's troubled childhood that set the tone for the man he would later become. This is part 2 of our deep dive into Todd Kohlhepp, the infamous Amazon review killer. Today, we're picking up where we left off as Todd Kohlhepp steps into adulthood and begins building the double life that would ultimately unravel in the most chilling way. If you remember, we left off with 30-year-old Todd being released from prison in November 2001 and moving back to South Carolina to be closer to his mom. Friends, remember, he's still on the government's sex offender registry for the crime that he committed when he was 16 towards the 15-year-old girl in Arizona. So now, it's January 2002, Todd is 31. He begins working as a graphic designer at a sports apparel company in upstate South Carolina. Todd worked for this company all the way up until November 2003 when he was 32 years old. The reason this is significant is because also in November 2003, 4 people were gunned down inside of the Superbike Motorsports shop in Chesney, South Carolina. The shop's owner, 30-year-old Scott Ponder, and his mother, 52-year-old Beverly Guy, who also was the bookkeeper for the shop, were found shot to death, along with 30-year-old service manager Brian Lucas and 26-year-old mechanic Chris Sherbert. This case actually remained a cold case for 13 years, in which during this time, Todd Kohlhepp was building up his real estate business. The reason I bring this up is because a little more than 6 months before November 6, 2003, Todd paid $9,000 for a 2003 Suzuki GSX R750 at Superbike Motorsports in Chesney on April 16, 2003. About 13 days later, he reported that his blue and white motorcycle was stolen, and he told some of his neighbors that he suspected that the bike shop was involved. Todd shares that days after buying the motorcycle, he began to regret this purchase. He said, "I was inexperienced, and I thought it was a bad decision and maybe wanted to trade for it, maybe a 600, which is a type of motorcycle." So, 13 years after this crime was committed, Todd was arrested, and we'll jump back to why Todd was arrested 13 years later, okay? But right now, I'm just telling you about the crime at this motorcycle shop. So, once Todd was arrested 13 years later, he told the sheriff's department that they were rude to me about how to ride a bike. They dropped it off at the apartment, so they knew where it was stored. 2 to 3 days later, it was stolen. I made a police report, insurance came out, I lost a $1,000 deductible. He also told the sheriff that he started attending classes at Greenville Tech soon afterward and began to want a motorcycle again. So he returned to the Superbike shop in Chesney and said that an employee implied that they were involved in his first motorcycle's theft. Todd said, "I let it slide for the time being, but then I got mad about it. I kept going out there, sitting on the bikes and listening to the owner and the manager basically talk trash. I bought a Beretta 92S 9mm. I had 3 10-round magazines." That Thursday, November 6, 2003, Todd left class. He drove to Boiling Springs, where he put his pistol in a shoulder holster in a store parking lot. And then he continued to drive towards the shop, which was in Chesney. Because Todd thinks that he's a good guy, he said, "I didn't want to shoot other customers. One of the guys wasn't there. I had to wait for him to come in. It was either the owner or the manager, one of the 2 main people. And finally, all 4 showed up who worked there, with the mechanic and the mom. The mom was not a primary target. I was sitting on a black Kawasaki Katana 600, told them I would take it. The mechanic took the bike to the back to prep it. A moment later, after all of the customers were gone, Todd moved. His description of the scene to investigators included details on the kinds of rounds he fired from his gun, as well as when and where each victim was shot. Todd brought a self-made suppressor with him to the shop that day, but decided not to use it. Todd said that he walked to the back of the shop and fired twice at the 26-year-old mechanic, Chris Sherbert. He then walked to the front and saw 52-year-old Beverly Guy, the owner's mom/bookkeeper. He also saw the 30-year-old service manager, Brian Lucas, and the 30-year-old owner, Scott Ponder, all gathered together. He said, perhaps they were gathered together in fear after hearing the gunshots in the back. Todd shot Beverly Guy first. Then he shot the service manager, Brian Lucas. Once Todd needed to reload his gun, Scott Ponder ran for the door, but Todd shot him as well. Todd shares, I proceeded to walk back through the building to clear, and as I did, I put one in each person's forehead. He left in his gray 1991 Acura Legend, took the gun apart, put one part in cat litter, and threw it with the other parts in the dumpster at the apartments in Spartanburg where he lived. All right, so that's it for the motorcycle shop cold case. It was finally solved 13 years later when Todd confessed. Now we're gonna backtrack to 2006. In 2006, Todd Kohlhepp applied to take his real estate license exam in South Carolina. He wrote a letter explaining his criminal history. In this letter, he told officials that the Arizona case was his only conviction and that he'd made significant strides to follow the law and give back to the community since then. He also explained his kidnapping charge. He says, I was charged with the felony of kidnapping due to the fact that I did have a firearm on me, regardless that she didn't know it. And I had told her not to move while we talked this out. At this time, Arizona was coming down very hard on minors and anything to do with firearms due to the heavy gang activity out there. And I received a sentence of 15 years, for which I served every day, no parole required. He also wrote that he earned his GED and an associate's degree in computer science while he was in prison and had learned from his mistakes. So, of course, who are we to go to the authorities to make sure that this man is a man of his word and to make sure that the crimes that he said he committed is actually what happened? So, the good people of South Carolina was like, you know what, sir? You sound like a stand-up guy. Here, we will approve your real estate license without talking to the judge or the lawyers over in Arizona. We're just going to take your word for it. After all, you are from here. Yeah, friends, Todd was approved to be a real estate agent. And he worked as a broker for a Spartanburg real estate company while he started his own real estate business, TKA Real Estate, which employed about a dozen agents. Yeah, as true crime followers, we all know that these are real cases. This is not fiction, but no one ever thinks that someone that they know is secretly a serial killer. We know that killers exist. We know evil people exist, but you just never assume that it's your boss. You know what I mean? So I can't even imagine how the employees of TKA Real Estate felt when they later found out that their boss was a friggin' psychopath. In January 2007, Todd bought his house on Winsong Way in Moore, South Carolina, and began to run his business from home. Like many people today, Todd maintained a presence on social media, nothing to creep people out. Not until he bought his 95-acre property in Woodruff, South Carolina, in May 2014. Everyone said that his social media presence now began to take on an ominous tone. Friends, let's talk about this massive amount of land. Wilton Lawrence was the one who sold the 95-acre property to Todd, and he remembers that Todd didn't want anything to do with anybody. He said that Todd immediately put up a $80,000 chain link fence, which Wilton Lawrence and Todd's neighbors in the area thought was strange. Listen, $80,000 for a fence is insane. And I'm guessing it ran the perimeter of the whole 95 acres. He didn't want any unwanted visitors. What was also strange was that Todd set up shipping containers on his property, and one of these containers is where he kept Megan Coxey for days after killing her husband Johnny and before killing her. He also kept Kayla Brown in one of these shipping containers for 2 months after killing her boyfriend, Charles Carver. We'll get back to Megan Coxey and Kayla Brown in a little bit, but I guess I need to stay focused, right? So let's stay with the present time of 2007 when he purchased this massive amount of land. So, right around the time that Todd bought the 95-acre property, he also created an Amazon account with his name, Todd Kohlhepp, and his Amazon account showed purchases for items such as padlocks, tactical gear, targets, knives, gun accessories, and books about snipers and emergency war surgery. If you didn't know that he was a psychopathic serial killer, you could say, oh, maybe he's preparing, like maybe he's one of those doomsday people just preparing for what's to probably come in the future. Who knows? Nothing to really be like, oh yeah, this guy is a psycho for buying all this stuff, because that's not necessarily true. But we all know that he is. So, as you know, the name of this episode is Todd Kohlhepp, the Amazon review killer. Let's hear some of his most chilling reviews. On September 13th, 2014, he left a review for a knife in which he said, "Haven't stabbed anyone yet, but I am keeping the dream alive. And when I do, it will be with a quality tool like this." For a shovel with a folding handle, his review said, "Keep in car for when you have to hide the bodies and you left the full-size shovel at home. Doesn't come with a midget, which would have been nice." What? Yeah, friends, this is not even a joke. He really wrote this. On another review, he posted that an item is blacker than my soul and priced right. On a review for a hidden shackle padlock, he said, "Works great. Also, if someone talks back, go old school on them by putting this in a sock and beating them. They will not appreciate the hardened steel like you will." Lastly, on January 14th, 2015, for another set of padlocks, he said, "Now my locks have locks. Place is Hotel California now." And for all of you who don't know, Hotel California is a popular song by the Eagles that ends with the lyric, "You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave." I just got chills. Isn't that scary? I love the song Hotel California, but when you really listen to that last lyric, it gives me chills. And for him to say this about a set of padlocks, knowing that there is shipping containers on his property, knowing that there were 2 women at 2 different times trapped in one of these shipping containers, it's scary. All right, let's talk about the missing Anderson, South Carolina couple. In 2016, Charles Carver and Kayla Brown were missing from Anderson, South Carolina after being hired to clear brush from Todd's land. It took 2 months before investigators were able to track their cell phone locations to Todd Kohlhepp's 95-acre property. On August 30th, 2016, the day before Kayla Brown would last contact someone on her cell phone before she arrived to hell. And that's why I'm going to call Todd's property hell, because it seems like everyone who went there never made it out. Just like the freaking song, Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. I feel like that's what happened to them. Everybody was ready to go. They were ready to check out. But he's like, you're not leaving. The following day, August 31st, 2016, Todd posted, "It's Wednesday. The trash people," talking about Charles Carver and Kayla Brown, "picked up my trash at 6:30 this morning. This post is still way more interesting than what's on the news. Carry on." Then, on September 15th, he posted a message about how reports of missing people are often cases of people going to the beach with a friend or a woman found with a boyfriend on a parole violation. Like, what? Friends, let's talk about the August 31st disappearance of Charlie Carver and Kayla Brown. The day that Kayla Brown was found chained in a metal container, Todd's neighbor, Scott Waldrop, sent Todd a text message and said, "Need you to call me ASAP." This neighbor, Scott, said that he thought it was odd that Todd no longer allowed him to come onto his property to bale hay after allowing him to do it for so many years. Then, on November 3rd, 2016, which is about 2 months since they've been missing, pings from Kayla Brown and Charlie Carver's cell phone, as well as Facebook messages mentioning local realtor Todd Kohlhepp, is what actually led investigators to his property. When the Spartanburg County Police arrived, they heard cries for help from inside a storage container, and they found Kayla Brown chained to the inside of this metal shipping container. When authorities tried to reach Kayla, they were forced to cut through 5 padlocks to gain access to Kayla. 5 padlocks, friends. Like, this guy was like, she's not going to be able to escape, and no one's going to be able to quickly get to her. Once the locks were broken, investigators found Kayla Brown in the back of this 30-foot by 15-foot metal container, chained around the neck like a dog. And when they asked her about her boyfriend, Charlie Carver, she replied, "He shot him." Kayla Brown explained that Todd shot Charles Carver to death by shooting him 3 times in the chest, and he buried Charles in a blue tarp, then kept her captive as a sex slave. She was chained in this shipping container for 65 days. Poor Kayla. So Kayla tells investigators that she was forced to sit pretty much all day. When she was able to maneuver her body to lay down, she had to sleep on dog beds that Todd provided. He thinks he's being kind and generous by providing Kayla with food, such as crackers, and entertainment, such as books, adult coloring books, and a MP3 player, among other forms of entertainment during her captivity. It's like he doesn't realize that holding her captive is bad. I feel like it's a Beauty and the Beast type of situation that he believes is going to happen. Like, oh, I'm holding her captive, but eventually she'll fall in love with me and will realize that this was the best thing for her and will forgive me. And, we'll have adult sexy time and, just live a happy life. Like, I really feel like that's his mindset. But this isn't a cartoon. She wants her freedom. She doesn't want to be held captive and forced to have sex with you when the only other option is death. So, Todd's mom, if you heard how crazy Todd's mom was in the first episode, well, she's back. And of course, she has an excuse as to why Todd did what he did. Because it's never Todd's fault. It's everybody else forcing Todd to do what he does. So she says that Charles lost his life because Todd didn't like the fact that he had a really smart mouth. It's not Todd's fault at all. This is why Todd has turned out to be the way he is, because his mom has constantly made excuses for him. No matter how horrific the crime is, she always has an excuse. But when the investigators spoke with Kayla, She said that Charles was actually shot because Todd was mad at Kayla and wanted to teach Kayla a lesson. See, neither one of them, him nor his mom, neither one of them make any sense. She should have been arrested with him because, one, she's making excuses, just like she did when he was 16. So, anyways, the police began searching his property and they found the bodies of a married couple, Johnny Joe Coxey, 29 years old, and Megan Lee McCraw Coxey, 25 years old. Megan was a waitress at the Waffle House and was often harassed by Todd. She was so scared of him that one of the male cooks had to come out and tell Todd to leave her and all of the other female waitstaff alone. Megan and her husband Johnny, just like Kayla and Charles, were hired to work at Todd's home sometime in 2015. Okay, so I don't understand why she would accept a job from Todd. My only guess is that she felt safe with her husband being there, and I'm assuming that the money was right. Megan and Johnny Coxey were reported missing on December 22nd, 2015. No one had any idea that they were heading to Todd's house when they disappeared. The autopsy revealed that Megan had lost her life on December 25th or December 26, 2015, meaning that she had been kept alive for a few days before Todd shot her in the head. The police wondered if Megan faced the same horrific ordeal as Kayla, since her husband Johnny was killed about a week before she was. Johnny Coxey died of a gunshot wound to the torso. The Coxey couple were buried on Todd's property for about 11 months before they were found. The only reason the police were able to identify their bodies was because of their extensive and unique tattoos, along with the dental records. On November 3rd, 2016, Todd Kohlhepp, who was 46 years old, was arrested. He told the police that he would only confess if he could speak with his mother, give her a photograph, and move some money into a college fund for the child of one of his friends. Of course, the police agreed to his request and soon learned more about his crimes as a result. When talking to his mom, Regina, Todd confessed to the crimes of ending the lives of Megan and Johnny Coxey, as well as the 4 people from the motorcycle store back in November 2003. The police knew for sure that he was guilty because he added details that weren't made public. Regina asked her son just how many lives he had ended, to which Todd replied, "You do not have enough fingers." Sheriff Chuck Wright said that Todd wanted to represent himself in court, and he confessed to the murders. Todd's mom, Regina Tague, said that her crying son told her that the only reason he killed the 4 individuals in the motorcycle shop was because someone had made fun of him for trying to return a motorcycle. Friends, Regina really upsets me because she talks about her grown son, 46 years old, as if he's 6 years old. Lady, your son's a murderer. It doesn't matter if someone laughed at him or looked at him the wrong way. It doesn't give him the right to take anybody's life. But she doesn't see it that way. She said, they laughed at him, made jokes at him. Everybody's hurt. He hurt everybody. Todd Kohlhepp was charged with the kidnapping of Kayla Brown, as well as ending the lives of Scott Ponder, Beverly Guy, Chris Sherbert, and Brian Lucas during the motorcycle store crime. He was also charged with ending the lives of Charles Carver, Megan Lee McCraw Coxey, and Johnny Coxey, as well as 3 further counts of kidnapping and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. Todd waived his right to an appearance, meaning the case was solely based on the evidence and not testimony. Todd Kohlhepp pled guilty to 7 counts of murder, 4 counts of possession of a weapon during a violent crime, 2 counts of kidnapping, 1 count of first-degree criminal sexual conduct. And on May 16, 2017, Todd Christopher Kohlhepp was sentenced to 7 consecutive life sentences. He was also sentenced to 30 years for first-degree murder and 30 years for criminal sexual conduct. All sentences run consecutively. As part of the plea agreement, he's expected to spend the rest of his life in the South Carolina Department of Corrections with no chance of parole. He also can't appeal. And friends, that wraps up our deep dive into Todd Kohlhepp, the Amazon review killer, a man whose dark secrets hid in plain sight. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and make sure you subscribe to Cold-Blooded Serial, a true crime podcast with your host and true crime bestie, Tika, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.